What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now, Back to the Past. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to look at Battlefield 3 and just talk about the game on the day of its death, I guess. So, what we're here to talk about specifically is the multiplayer. I want to go over the quick, news of the hour, and then also just discuss the multiplayer just in general as like a look back, as a retrospective type thing. So, in case you didn't know, and if you're still playing Battlefield 3, I imagine you probably do know. So, the game has already been delisted. That all happened over the summer, and this is kind of part of that widespread, Battlefield thing. Battlefield Hardline, I believe, being impacted, and also I believe Battlefield 4. Different consoles, different systems, depending on which game you're talking about. For Battlefield 3 in particular, and it's why I wanted to make a video on it, basically, it's been delisted, and the servers, as of November 7th, I think we're putting this video out just a few days before that, are being shut down. So the game, in terms of the single player, yeah, it's still there, and I think the single player is pretty okay. But in terms of the multiplayer, which is, I think, the main feature of Battlefield 3, at least specifically Battlefield 3, is being completely taken out. Now, the PC version will still have the multiplayer operational. Now, the issue is actually to try to celebrate this and to mourn it on the day of its death. I actually first tried to play with a friend of mine on PC, and because of that battle log thing and connecting to EA servers, I mean, I don't know if it could actually be any worse. And in fact, I've actually looked up things online where if you don't have certain things installed on your PC, the odds of it working are 0%. We jumped in, we did manage to get it working. I think there was only servers in Germany. It was either Germany or Russia, I forget which one, but one of those. All servers were just that. We would get in, and then we'd be kicked out after about 30 seconds. And at first, we thought they were kicking us out. And then we realized, no, it's actually been a widespread issue, at least what I've seen like on Reddit and other forums, that, there's something wrong, with that PC version. And you don't have to be a tech expert, but I'm pretty technologically illiterate. If you're somebody like me, screw you, because we stand no chance. We're not going to be able to play this game. So that's pretty much the news. The game has already been delisted, so you can't get the DLCs. You can't buy it just in general. And then as of November 7th, the multiplayer servers are being shut down, all except for PC. Now, PC technically is probably the better place to play it. It's bigger maps, right? They kind of shrunk down the playable space of the maps on console, and it's actually this is 64 players. When it comes to console, I think at most it's either 12v12 or 14v14, so it's easily half. It's definitely half of what the PC is able to do. So, yeah, PC is probably better, but funny enough, in order to, again, celebrate it on the day of its death, I actually fired it up. I think I played it on Xbox, actually. It was still on Game Pass at the time that I played it, and I have it physically as well. I have it physically on PS3, and I played it, and you know what? Getting in multiplayer-wise on console, hell of a lot easier, than doing it on PC, and I had a blast. So, in terms of the mourning and in terms of the preservation side, that's kind of all I want to say. I mean, we've talked about preservation before. This channel is a big advocate, obviously, of preservation, and you hate to see it, especially, Battlefield 3 is a very special game, and just really quickly, like what it means to me, this was the game that got me in. Not Battlefield 4, not Bad Company. Now, Bad Company, I think, is phenomenal. We actually celebrated Bad Company 2 on its day of death when they shut those servers offline. Nobody was playing Bad Company 2 when they shut it off. People were legitimately playing Battlefield 3. The servers that we were finding on PC, they were full. There weren't too many of them, but they were definitely full. And when it came to console, yeah, if I picked specific modes with specific maps, it wouldn't really work. But if I just did anything, pick any mode on any map, right, like that, those kind of parameters, I got into a match kind of immediately, and they would always be full. I wasn't playing like 3v3 or 4v4. You play whichever mode it was, right? It kind of limits the players, but you were playing with full-on matches. So, and honestly, I was doing decent. My ratio of, kills to death, pretty okay. Like I was in the middle of the pack. I wasn't like leading. I wasn't doing like 20 and 5s out there, but I would do like 17 and 17, and I would capture objectives, and conquests and stuff like that. Like I was doing pretty okay. So you're not playing with legendary elite players that have been playing for 13 years. You're actually playing with seemingly normal, average, everyday, kind of in between, skill sets. That's kind of what you were playing against. So I honestly had a lot of fun. I guess I'm kind of jumping ahead, but it is sad because this is the game. Eventually, I got into Bad Company. And I think probably, I mean, Bad Company 2 is one of the best Battlefields, if not the best. That one might be my favorite, especially replaying it. But Battlefield 3, like jumping into those multiplayer maps, like it brings me back. It's like, oh yeah, I remember all of these because this is what got me in. These are the maps I've probably, I probably played Battlefield 4, maybe the most of all of them, but Battlefield 3 is the one that, again, like I jumped into the series. So, and then in terms of the actual gameplay, let me tell you something. If you're curious, you're interested, the game still holds up. Like, it's not as, I remember it being more destructible, but yet again, I mean, my mind, thinking back 13 years, I easily could have gotten it confused for a different Battlefield game. Bad Company 2, I think, has more destructible environments. Battlefield 4, I think, really made that push with next gen and all that stuff that, everything could explode and everything could break. Battlefield 3 has it a little bit, but generally, I thought more things would blow up on me, and not as many of them did, but, it's the classic Battlefield formula. And I think specifically, like, you go back in time, you go back to 2011, and, we were getting a taste of Bad Company, so it's not like this is, it's not like this was the pioneer in everything, but again, like, I really think this started to make it smart that, like, okay, Battlefield is serious if it wasn't already considered serious before, and it's legitimately fun. And the game, still 13 years later, it's fun. It's very rock solid. Growing up, I went from COD to Battlefield. And it's a little bit slower. It's a little bit more strategic, right? You have to play your roles more. You have people that just are in vehicles as like their main thing, and that's what they do. Some people are doing support. Some people are doing assault. And it took me some learning growing up, and even honestly still to this day, especially if you're not playing with anybody and there's no communication going on. You're kind of just there. You kind of just go with the wind and figure it out. But, the game is very strategic, or at least more strategic than its shooter counterparts at the time. Again, me kind of jumping in. And the game still feels really, really good now. I had to get re-comfortable because I don't really play a lot of shooters, although, I've played them kind of growing up and stuff. I kind of pick. I pick and choose when to play it, but, shooting them just a few times and, immediately eliminating them, or they see you, you see them, but they get off a couple shots, you're done. You're dead. And unless you have, your squad of healing medics, which you can become, and I actually did that, you can die very, very quickly. But, replaying these maps, they're a lot of fun. Again, they're a little bit more condensed, but honestly, I think I did notice, because one of the first modes I played, I forget what mode it was, but I think it was 5v5 or 6 feet. I think it was like an objective one, like go here, do this, then go somewhere else and do something else. So that one didn't have as many people, and that one, when I would pull up the map, I was like, oh, this feels smaller. I remember this being just outright warfare, and maybe that's because 13 years, I was 15 years old. I was just getting into it, right? It's like, okay, it's bigger than I actually thought it was. But no, I mean, in some of the maps, when you're playing Conquest and it's the full-on team, it's big, and you can go a long time without seeing your fellow player, especially again if there's no communication, you're just kind of going lone wolf. It is big. It still has that tactical kind of feel, and it just feels good. The game is a lot of fun. It always was a lot of fun. It got me into the series, and it's sad. It's sad too. They recycle maps, and much like COD, right? There's some classic maps that, especially with the newer age stuff, and whether it's remastering the maps or even having kind of playlists of being able to go back into the old stuff, I don't think we'll ever lose some of the classics, which Battlefield 3 has a lot of classic maps. And I feel like a lot of the maps that I think of come from the Battlefield 3, 4, and Bad Company 2 kind of era, right? And I mean, I think those maps are kind of synonymous with Battlefield. They made it really special. So, we'll never fully lose them, I suppose, but it's sad. It's sad. This was a big part of me kind of growing up, and it was the first, I was into Call of Duty at the time. I jumped over to Battlefield, and this was the first Battlefield I played. This won me over. This got them a customer for a lot of their games. I mean, I think I've bought whether it's digital or physical, I've gotten every single Battlefield game, except for Hardline, actually. I don't think I ever got Hardline, but one day, maybe I'll pick it up physically. But yeah, I mean, I became a fan. I became a customer, and there's been ups and downs, more recently downs, but I'm looking forward to it rebounding. So rest in peace, Battlefield 3. You're technically still alive, I suppose, but again, I have no shot with my PC. My PC's strong enough, but I'm not technologically literate, as I said earlier, so there's no chance in hell I'm figuring out how to not crash the game every 15 seconds. So for me, my Battlefield 3 journey ends now, which is sad, and it's always sad. sad, I think, when we lose a game. And, you know, even on this channel now, we've mourned 2 Battlefield games being, I mean, it's not even just 2. I've covered 2. There's actually been more Battlefield games than just those 2 that have been taken out by EA, the great company that they are. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on. I hope to see you all on the next one.